Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following petition reports on the table of the Senate today, 28th November 2023. Report to the Senate on a petition by Mr. Laban Omusundi concerning the enactment of a clause in the election laws to ensure that all nominated members of the County Assembly are voters and residents of the respective counties. 2, report of the Senate on petition by Mr. Taratisio Ireri Kawe concerning an amendment to the Constitution and relevant laws on the election of the Deputy President and Deputy Governor whenever the positions fall vacant. 3, report to the Senate on the petition by the members of Mwindi Mbingu Memorial Ngelani Association concerning historical injustices suffered by residents of Ngelani area in Machakos County during the colonial period. Finally, report to the Senate on petition by Mrs. Zipporah C.K. Sorene concerning mistreatment, harassment, property loss, and human rights violation meted on the family of the late Honorable Jean Marie Serone. Mr. Speaker, the committee looked at all these petitions, and I want to be very brief on this as far as finding is concerned. The committee observed that while it was not, I am looking at the petition by the first one, electoral laws to ensure that all nominated members of the County Assembly are voters and residents of the respective counties. Mr. Speaker, the committee observed that while it would not be appropriate to place a requirement that would be deemed too restrictive and which would run counter to the principles in the Constitution and electoral laws, it was equally important that nominated MCAs have a level of connection with the concerned county so as to effectively participate in the work of the Assembly and in the representation of the interests of which they have been so nominated. Mr. Speaker, consequently, the committee proposes that the amendment of Section 34 of the Elections Act number 24 of 2011 to introduce a three-tier criteria that one must meet to be nominated to a county assembly, namely that one must be either a registered voter in any of the wards in the county, number 2, a resident of that county, and finally have demonstrated interest in the affairs of the county, Mr. Speaker. Now, the second one is the petition by Mr. Taratisio Ireri Kawe concerning the amendment to the Constitution and relevant laws on the election of the Deputy President and Deputy Governor whenever the position falls vacant. Mr. Speaker, the committee finding is that we adopted the findings and recommendations which are set out at Chapter 3 and 4 of the report. Notably, the committee found the petition to be without merit and recommends that no further action to be taken thereon. This is on the basis that the Constitution and statutes anticipated that vacancies would arise in the position of the Deputy President and Deputy Governor, and came up with the elaborate and mechanisms for how such positions would be filled, including the approval of the nominee thereon by the National Assembly or the respective county assembly. Number 2, in approving such a nominee, the county assembly and National Assembly and County Assembly exercise their delegated powers under Article 1 of the Constitution, therefore, ensuring legitimacy of the office holders. Number 3, the existing process ensures continuity in service delivery, encourage economic and administrative stability, and mirrors best practice in the comparative jurisdiction. Mr. Speaker, the other petition is by the members of the Mwindimbingu Memorial Ngelani Association concerning historical injustice suffered by residents of the Ngelani area in Machakos County during the colonial period. And Mr. Speaker, the finding of the committee is that appropriate redress to recommend in this case. The committee observed that there exists various legislative gaps that make it difficulty to compensate or pay reparation to victims of historical injustice and gross human rights violations. Consequently, in addition to directing the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights to make steps to ensure appropriate redress for the victims, the committee recommends the immediate commencement of steps to be put in place. A policy framework on reparation for historical injustices and gross human rights violation. 2, legislative framework providing the mechanism through which the state can compensate victims of historical injustices and gross human rights violations. C, regulations to operationalize the said legislation framework, including anchoring the proposed Restorative Justice Fund under the Public Finance Management Act 2017, and finally a legislative framework to guide county government in budgeting and offering reparative measures, including the recognition of heroes and establishment of monuments at the county level. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the petition by Mrs. Zipporah Serone concerning mistreatment, harassment, property loss, and human rights violation meted on the family of the late Honorable Jean Marie Serone. Mr. Speaker, I remember we visited Nandi County as far as this petition is concerned, and the committee proceeded to visit the county, and arising from the interaction, the committee adopted the findings and recommendations which are set out at chapter 3 and 4 of the reports. To highlight a few, on the question of compensation of human rights violation meted on the family of the late Honorable Jean Maria Serone, the committee found that the petitioner had previously litigated the matter in court, where the state was directed to and did indeed pay compensation to the petitioner. B, Mr. Speaker, on the claims relating to the forcible and unlawful dispossession of the family land, the committee found all 5 counts to not have been substantiated. Number C, on the request to have the late Jean Marie Serone recognized as a national hero, the committee noted that there exists a legal framework under the Kenya Heroes Act through which one may be nominated for recognition as a national hero and for conferment of honors. The committee therefore recommends that any member of the Serone family may submit a nomination to the National Heroes Council in accordance with provision of the said act. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.